Well, folks, as you can see, today is a pretty rainy day as the tropical storm is hitting the Gulf Coast and we're getting the tail end of it. So it's a good opportunity to do a little bit of work on the bike, on the S1000R. I haven't made a video since the last video I did, which was on the low siding of this bike here in a corner due to some gravel. So I'll show you what I've got done so far and how the bike is being brought back to where it was before the low side. As you can see, the left fairing panel has been repaired at the body shop and a new sticker put on. In addition to which, I've added these sliders. Now, a lot of people have different opinions on sliders and when they're effective and when they're not, and if they can cause the bike to flip over during a normal low side, and then it becomes, you know, a bigger catastrophe. But anyway, I put that on just to help protect these side fairings against the similar damage that it got last time. This is another damage that occurred here, and this is the engine casing slider. I've since bought R&G sliders for that, and I had to buy some screws because it doesn't you know, take 3 screws like the BMW slider, and that has to I have to replace one of the screws. This here is the slider on the rear axle, and that has chewed up at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it a little bit there, and so that one I expect to come early next week, and I'll put that on. It's just a matter of unscrewing that and putting that on, so no video for that. So like I said, the side fairing has been repaired and everything is back to normal there. The other thing that was damaged was this bar end here. The bar end here was had some light scuffing. So what I did for now is to just put some touch-up. I sanded it down, put some touch-up paint just for now. But what I'm going to do is pull that off, and I'm going to do a complete respray of that. I did buy some Shogun, and I'll show it in a minute. Some Shogun bar ends, but I don't like them as much as I like these. The end of the clutch lever was also scuffed up, and I sanded that down a bit just temporarily, but I'm gonna do a little bit better job of that. I'm not too concerned about this because I expect that I'll be changing these clutch and brake levers sometime in the future for aftermarket ones. So I'm not worried about that. The other thing to talk about is this mirror here. This mirror got some scuffing up right in this area here, and what I did was, if this thing would focus, what I did was I sanded it. I know it's got a kind of a satin finish. I sanded it and I resprayed that mirror there with some satin black paint, and looks pretty damn good to me. And I mean, when you're standing up like this, the damage was on the underside, you can't tell, you know, so looks just as good as the other side. I did buy some mirrors off of eBay, and they look nice. They looked just as good as the original. However, this was a little bit thinner. This part here was a little bit thinner, and it did not thread into the bottom here. So they're useless to me. Thankfully, they only cost $20. $20 for a pair of mirrors. Imagine that. So I'm not going to be using them, and it's too cheap to return. So I can't even return them, so I'll probably be selling them. This is another thing that was damaged slightly. It's got some scuff marks. I don't know if I can get that in the shot. Let's see. Maybe you can see it. Some scuff marks there anyway. This Nikon is not the best for focusing. But other than that, it works perfectly. But I do have a set of blinkers, replacement blinkers coming in, a pair of them coming in. They're coming, of course, from China, from Hong Kong, and they look identical to these, so hopefully if they perform the same, I'll just swap them out. Now and there's the other side. So this is the right side slider. Pretty darn good sliders from R&G. You do have to take the fairings off. I didn't do a video for that, but you do have to take the fairings off and put in a bracket in there, mount a bracket inside. You probably can't see it very clearly. Actually, yes, you can. That's the bracket there. That's on the inside. So you mount the bracket to 2 points, and then you mount the slider to the bracket. There is some clearance there, as you can see. There is enough clearance on this side, as well as clearance on this side. So they shouldn't be touching. Okay. So the idea is, if you go down on a slow speed, low side or something like that, then this thing will support the bike. It'll get scuffed up, and your fairings won't. So that works well for me. Other than that, there was no other damage to the bike. Oh, yes, there was one thing that needed to be fixed, and that was the steering. So the steering, the handlebars were like this a little bit. I don't know if I can show you the angle. So it was slightly off like that when the bike was going straight. So what I had to do was I had to loosen these pinch bolts in the lower triple clamp. Loosen those bolts, loosen those pinch bolts down there, loosen the axle nut on this side here. Of course, it's got sliders blocking the view, but there's an axle nut underneath there. Loosen that, loosen these pinch bolts over here, and of course do the same on these pinch bolts here. And then what I did was I bounced the front forks. To do that, you've got to turn the bike on, because this bike has got electronic suspension. So you've got to turn the ignition to the on position, but not start the bike, of course. Just put it in the on position, and then you can actually bounce the front fork. Once I got that bounced it about, I don't know, 10 times, just for good measure. And then I went and I re-torqued these carefully and in sequence. Upper bolt, lower bolt, upper bolt, lower bolt. The manual calls for 3 times of each, and then you apply a torque of about 12 Newton meters, I believe. And then these bottom pinch bolts are torqued to 19 Newton meters, and the axle bolt is torqued to 50 Newton meters. So once I did that, both sides, and then I went for a ride, and it's pretty darn straight now. So you should be doing that anyway on an annual basis or so. This is pretty much straight on, and you can probably see, if you compare it to the you know, the overlap with this thing here, it's pretty even. Okay, so it's pretty straight and it rides good. Yeah, like I'm saying, you should probably be doing an alignment every now and again, in addition to checking for bearing play on your steering, you know, bearing at the top here. So the bike is straightened out back again, and all of those fixes are in place. Oh, one thing I didn't mention. Remember this guy? This was all twisted and bent. So today what we're going to be doing is removing this so that we can remove the whole thing. It comes as an assembly. This the footrest here is attached to this shifter arm. So I'm going to have to undo that at the back there from the quick shifter and apply or install the new one, which is in this bag here. I went ahead and I ordered, I didn't know that it came with this rubber piece, and I went and I ordered another rubber piece, so I've got an extra one. Luckily they only cost $10. So that's basically what I'm going to be replacing today. Right? That, what else is in this box? This is the bar ends that I bought. Not very expensive, but I think that this one looks better. It's tapered and it's probably original. I'm not sure, but I haven't taken this off yet because it has If you can see in there, I think that's a 50mm Torx, and I don't have a 50mm Torx bit, so I can't take it off and spray it yet. I'm going to be replacing these engine slider here with the new one that I got from R&G. This new one takes 2 screws only, whereas the BMW one came with 3. 1, 2, 3. So what I did, I had to go to ASC Cycles and get three of the right bolts, of which I only use 1. So the part number is there, and they did pretty good service returning this, sending me these bolts here within 1 week. And what else in this box? I've got a little box of goodies here. In this box I also have a set of diodes. I only need 1 of these diodes, but I had to buy a whole set. They come in a lot of 20, and Schottky diodes, and that's to fix the headlight problem. As I mentioned in a previous video, this bike has one major downside as far as I'm concerned, and that's the headlights on the North American spec bikes are a piece of crap. When the low beam comes on, this one is the low beam, it's on, and the high beam is not on. When you put the high beams on, most normal bikes have both beams on, not this one. The low beam goes off and the high beam stays on. The cure for that, according to somebody in the S1000R forum, is to use this diode, one of these diodes here, and to jump 2 of the relays. And I'm going to be using these few steps that you can buy at AutoZone for like $228 or something like that. I probably won't record the replacement of this engine slider because it's very similar to the one that I did on the right hand side, and I demonstrated the torque to angle technique when I installed that slider. This here is the mirror that I bought off of eBay for $20 a pair. As you can see, it looks pretty darn similar to the original mirrors. Excellent quality for the mirror itself. However, the stock itself is a little bit thinner than the original stock, and also, more importantly, the threads are not the same. Okay, so this mirror is useless, so I had to go back to repairing the original one and then putting that on. And it doesn't look too bad at all. It looks pretty damn good as far as I'm concerned. So that's essentially it. And I'm going to do some work today on this bike and almost have it back to how it was before the low slide.